Hello and welcome to World War One Great War fighting knives. Today we'll be looking at German private purchase knives, also known as civilian knives. These weapons were offered in large quantities in mail-order catalogues such as Alma's. Alma's was an outdoor pursuits company that was sold a wide range of hunting equipment as well as service surplus weapons. There are thousands of photos out there of German troops wearing these types of knives during the Great War. A lot of these knives had patriotic inscriptions on the blade. Various manufacturers produce these knives, and we often encounter famous brand names from Solingen. The first knife we are going to look at is this beautifully manufactured stag antler grip dagger. Now this dagger has a 42er marking in a shell-shaped section reference to the 42cm caliber Bertha gun, also known as the Big Bertha. Now I'm going to zoom in on here. Hopefully you can see that. I know the light, it makes it hard to see, but you can clearly see the shell there, 42er. And underneath there's the engraving, which is unfortunately hard to see due to a little bit of pitting. Now the Big Bertha, as it was known, this was a German howitzer built by Krupp AG. It had a max firing range of 9,300 meters, which is approximately 30,500 feet, a considerable distance back in 1914. Let me get that knife there so you can look at that one. Underneath the shell on the blade is engraved Deutsche Brammer, which refers to the thunderous noise made by the gun. Under that is the DRGM patent marking. As I say, it's very hard to see. I don't even know if I can put it under a microscope. It might help a little bit. I don't think it's going to. No. Okay. But I don't know if you can see that at all. Just underneath there. You just got it under there. So, yeah, so that's was the manufacturer's the DRGM patent. The market underneath. I really do love this rare civilian knife. Staghorn advertising, or shall we say showing off, of the Big Bertha on the blade. And it really does fit nicely into the hand for practical use. Even though it's a Staghorn, it really does. Great considerable grip on it because of the grooves and the bumps on it. Yeah, that is going nowhere out of the hand. It really is a beautiful knife. The knife itself is 250 millimeters long, just shy of 10 inch, with a blade length of 120 mil, which is 4 3/4 of an inch, which is just underneath the pommel. The scabbard itself was made of leather, as you can see here. Got a metal part there, which would have had a band coming round to clip it on to keep it secure in place, and it's got a tiny little bit of metal at the end, which makes it more secure, but pretty much a basic cheap scabbard manufactured. Like I say, beautiful knife, all engraved, very rare, very beautiful knife. It's with a steel on the what do you call that? You know, on the tilt hilt there. Beautiful knife. Okay. Knife 2 that we'll be looking at has a deer antler grip again. I'll just put that there so you can see that. Has a really lovely curvature to the handle, this one. So it fits in the hand really well. I don't know if you can see that. Just put it there in front of you. It's got a lovely curvature to it. You can see that there. Stamped VG Steinen and Company, Solingen. I don't know if you can see, we've got it along the blade there. Again, due to the pitting, it's very hard to bring these out where you can see the actual, there you go, stamped on there. I hope that helps. Now, Steinen and Company, who have been manufacturing knives and precision cutting tools since 1886. Now, unfortunately, the butt of the knife has lost its enamel iron cross, which you could have seen, which would have been on the end here. Now, unfortunately, at some point in time, this has been lost. The knife itself is 273mm overall, which is approximately 10 3/4 inch. The blade is 146mm, which is 5 3/4 inch. The handle, 4.5 inches long. Now, the scabbard itself is overall steel, with a little leather strap secured by 2 rivets, which you can clearly see on the back there. And steel fasteners, which you've got, which is still lovely condition, which just clipped over just to keep the knife in place. Now, this is a much more nicely crafted scabbard than the previous example that we just shown. This type of knife was probably more of your NCO's knife sort of price range. As you can appreciate, all these different knives had different price ranges in the catalogue, and a lot of these knives were very expensive for what you was earning at the time. So this particular knife, very well made, very well manufactured, would have been on the upper price range, more for your NCO officer, with a steel scabbard, which is very, very well made. A beautiful, beautiful knife. Now, lastly, I'm going to show you is a different kind of knife. Now, this is last but not by no means least. This is a deer's foot dagger. Now, the deer's foot dagger has a double-edged blade, still sharp to this day. Now, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, this doesn't have any motto markings or engraver's markings, which isn't uncommon. Back in the day, a lot of these knives out of the catalogues didn't have any manufacturer's markings on them at all. The knife itself is 230mm overall, with a blade length of 100mm. The standard scabbard is leather with steel securing the top and bottom. Now, this is quite crudely manufactured. I have seen nice example of these knives being cut down using bayonet scabbards adapted to these blades, using a handcrafted frog with a loop and a tab securing system. Really does secure this knife into, or any type of these knives, onto a military belt a lot better than, you wouldn't be able to use this in any sort of military combat whatsoever. Now, this is a very unusual knife to look at, and not one I would purchase myself, but would fit lovely into a smaller or lady's hand. For something, you'd look at that and think, well, that's not going to work. I can promise you, you put that in your hand, it's nice and secure. That is going nowhere. Really is nicely manufactured. It's very clever, very, very clever indeed. Now, as you can see, this knife is starting to decay in places, but it's amazing. You think it's 100 years old, and to think that a deer's foot like this could still be in the condition that it is in. As you can see in there, a little bit of decay, if you can see that, with a steel ending to keep it all in place over the nail, or the hoof if you like. Really is a nice knife. A little bit of pitting on the blade, as to be expected. I could clean it up, but I like to keep all my knives as original as possible. So what I'd like to say is, let's say there's all different variants. There's loads of different manufacturers. There's some great books out there. There's a book called WW1 German Fighting Knives. And all these knives are in that particular book. Beautiful examples of all the different types you could get out of the magazines, out the catalogue, shall we say, for private purchase. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I look forward to these to giving you more videos in the future. I will be doing these weekly, so please like and subscribe for future uploads, and check out my channel for other World War I fighting knives. A big thank you for watching, and please take care. Thank you.